Hi, welcome back to Growing Up Catholic - His Loving Touch. My voice doesn't seem to want to work today for some reason. But anyways, I might have to pause it once in a while just to clear my throat. You don't want to hear that. So something funny happened. My hair, like most of us in isolation, is not getting cut, is not being styled. I'm the worst person to style my hair. And I used to say to the woman who does my hair, who is fantastic, and we're trying to get the gray leveled, but everything's wild right now. But anyways, I used to say to her, I would rather do CPR on somebody than their hair. And I know, it shocks everybody, but I'm a nurse, and I have done CPR on people, and praise God, some have lived, some haven't. But with the hair, people can be really mean, to your hairdresser. Oh my gosh. So I would never want to be a hairdresser. I wouldn't, if I made a mistake, oh man. But anyway, I digress. So anyways, this morning I thought, okay, well, maybe this is okay. I don't know. I just washed it. So I thought I'd put a little hairspray in it to try and keep it in place. So what I thought was hairspray was actually mousse. And when I went to do this for my hair, out all this mousse came all over my hair, all over my clothes, face, arms. I was a mess. It was funny. I just cleaned up. Okay, did my hair again. Actually, kind of, put some of that mousse, rub some of that mousse in my hair. Didn't help. So anyways, so here I am. I didn't even know that my camera on the computer had a brightness thing. I didn't even know that. So I'm hopefully a little more bright with light. I've been trying to find a light that would come at me, and I thought maybe a web camera with a light on it. And I learned what kind of lighting I need, but honestly, it's just too expensive for our finances. So here's what you get. Okay, so back. I'm going to start with my grandfather's, my dad's family again. The last time I put up a video, it was about the Al Capone connection, and so now I'm going to World War II. First of all, I want to show you this. It's a book. It was our 50th family reunion for it says Petnato, but that's a whole bunch of, family. Ours is Balestrini. And in it, 1985, so we've been around. And that was 50 years of family reunions. And so anyways, so in it I learned a lot. I learned about how my grandmother and grandfather, now my grandfather's name was Luigi, but everybody called him Louis. I didn't know that. And my grandmother's name was Anna. They were very active in their community, doing a great deal of charity work. Just Also helping to sponsor people to come into Canada from Italy. So they were very, very active and helped a lot of people, which gave me a lot of insight into knowing where the heart of my dad was, and how my dad instilled in me and my siblings about always giving. No matter how poor you were, there's a way that you can help. So anyways, World War II came. And although the stock markets fell and my grandfather still worked, and my dad, Joseph, and my two uncles, Uncle Pat and Uncle Albert, they were in the Army. Now I know my dad wasn't sent overseas because he was injured during a training session just before he was to be sent out. And then my uncles, I'm just not sure. But anyways, they were all in the Army. So Mussolini, who was he the president of Italy, joined Hitler. And everybody was already panicky and suspicious of everybody else. Just like when it happened in New York with 911. Any Islamic people or came from those areas in Europe were not looked on too kindly. Sad state of who we are when fear grasps our hearts and we take it out on innocent people. Even today, in isolation, right, with the COVID-19, now the government is, here's in my face. Now the government is getting really, really strict about people not distancing or not being in self-isolation. And now they're being, either arrested or fined. And they're asking everyone, neighbors, people who see gatherings of more than 5 people, to report them. Not call 911, but to call a different number to report them. It's important because COVID-19's hitting our area pretty hard now. And it's difficult. What do you do? They're trying to stop it. Well, the same in World War II. There was hatred and fear. I mean, the bombing, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the naval in Hawaii, Pearl Harbor. And now everybody was hating Japanese, the Japanese people, fearful of them, fearful of Germany, and now Italy. And that's where my grandfather comes in. So they went on with their lives, helping people as much as they could. And then one day, the Canadian Mounted Police was kind of like, the branch, like their FBI, or, like, so they came knocking on my grandfather's door. And my dad, I think he was out somewhere, but anyways, they forced themselves into my grandfather's house and just ruined it. They went through everything looking for information that he was connected with Mussolini, that he was a spy for Italy. They just turned that house upside down. And then my grandfather, who was a very quiet man that I knew of, but I'm sure there were some choice words. So anyway, it wasn't funny back then. I don't know what they found, but they took a lot of information out of the house. They handcuffed my grandfather and took him away. Now my dad came in, and just as they were leaving, and of course my dad had the Italian temper. As I've said before, he was the middleweight champion in the army for boxing. So he was very upset, and but there was nothing he could do about it. So they took my grandfather away, but he stopped one of the officers, the Canadian Mounted Police, and he said to them, "You aren't going anywhere until you clean this mess up." And the Mounted Police said, "Well, no, we're not cleaning it up, and we can arrest you if you want to get in our way." Now my dad would have gone further. He would have risked being arrested, but he knew what that would mean to the family. So off went my grandfather to be, I don't know, what do you call it? Like when you're arrested, right? And you go to jail, and they fingerprint you, do all that stuff. So my dad, being so angry, went right to the mayor's office, and his receptionist tried to stop him, but when my dad was on a mission, he didn't let anybody stop him. So he marched into the mayor's office, and he demanded that his dad be released. Well, the mayor couldn't do that because it was the federal government. And my dad, being so upset, he said, they've ruined our house, looking for information. He said my dad's innocent. Who said he was a spy? We later found out it was the neighbor, because of all the activity and the charities and that. But the neighbor didn't understand it was charities. He thought it was, the Italian mafia or something like that. So my dad, the mayor said, "Well, I can't do anything about it." So my dad, being my dad, he just grabbed the mayor's desk and he flipped it over, and all the papers and everything went all over the place. He said, "Well, now you know how I feel. I'm not cleaning it." And the mayor could have arrested him, could have called the police, but he decided not to and let my dad just leave. So my grandfather was processed. That's the right word. And he eventually was sent to not a prisoner's camp, but a holding camp for suspected spies until, you know, they found out he wasn't. Have to stop for a minute. Back. Okay, so our house is really busy right now because nobody's allowed to leave anywhere. Anyways, so my grandfather was put into a camp while they, you know, checked him. Now, in order to understand my grandfather was proud to be a Canadian. And when he built his house, he had put in a pole, a flag pole, you know, a pretty tall one. And every morning, my grandfather would go out before work and raise the Canadian flag. And then he would salute it. And then every night at sundown, my grandfather would go back out, take the flag down, and salute it. So, through my grandpa's actions, everybody learned to love and respect Canada. You know, with all the stories my grandfather told them about, you know, Italy and how, and then during World War II, and how blessed they were to be living in a peaceful country, even though we did join the war. Everybody did. So anyways, my grandfather's finances were frozen. So the family was left with whatever they had. And my dad and his brothers being in the army, you know, I never asked about whether or not, you know, they left the army because their dad was suspected as a spy, or just what happened there. I never even thought to ask my dad, and he never thought to tell me. He just told me the juicy parts. But anyways, my grandfather, I think, was in that holding area for about 11 months. While they were there, they did normal everyday things. They planted gardens to make their own food. They, you know, cleaned the barracks. They cleaned the bathrooms. They just did everything. You know, basically they were prisoners until proven innocent. Pretty much everybody my grandfather knew that was in there, which were a lot, were all innocent and proven innocent. So I think it was a long 11 months for my grandfather and all the family. I mean, they raided. I mean, the mounted police raided everything. You know, anywhere where there were tie-ins, like their clubs, even their charities were raided, and men were handcuffed and taken out and processed. And they went to different holding camps around Canada. So after 11 months, after my grandfather was finally found innocent, he found out that the neighbor had accused him of being a spy. And he forgave that neighbor because it was scary times. So the family was there, my grandmother, my dad and his two brothers and his two sisters, and whatever other family members were there. When my grandfather was driven back to his home, and as he came out, my dad said he was a broken man. Just broken. His beloved Canada had accused him of being a spy. Now, my dad said all through that time, that flag was not raised. You know, that was Grandpa's job. And my dad or nobody else would do it. So when my grandfather returned and everybody hugged him and welcomed him back, my grandfather just walked very slowly into the house, up the stairs, into his room. He grabbed his beloved Canadian flag, then walked back out to the flagpole. And as he hoisted that flag, he kept saying, "My beloved Canada." And when the flag, and when the flag was hoisted, my grandfather lifted his hand and saluted. And from that moment on, every day, night, morning, it was hoisted and then brought back down with a salute. Eventually, everything was released back to my grandfather and the family, and life, and life went back. I can't say it went back to normal. My grandfather was changed forever. But he's kept saying, you know, God has blessed him. God has blessed his family with Canada. So that's a story that really touches my heart. And as I grew, it became important to me to have my Canadian flag not on a, high flagpole, but on a pole, waving in the wind, just to say I am proud to be a Canadian. So, how does God come into this? Well, although my grandfather was a broken man, he forgave everyone. He just, in his broken language of English, he just kept saying, it is bad times for everyone. So he understood, but the fear and the worry of leaving his family and the shame of being handcuffed in front of all his neighbors and family shook him like it would shake anyone. However, the strength of God held my grandfather strong and the family. They knew, everybody knew he was innocent. God did. And so, although he returned a broken man, he didn't lose his faith in God yet. There's another story coming where my grandfather's faith was shaken so severely that God wasn't a comfort. And that story will come. Until now, I think I spoke a little long. I don't know how long this video is, but I'm going to say thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and think of the people in your lives, your neighbors, your friends, your relatives, everybody. The safety of all during this COVID-19 depends on our actions, what we do, what we take. There are things that we have to do, like go grocery shopping, but keep your distance and stay isolated. The longer we stay isolated and, you know, think of all the people on the front lines who are fighting this and risking their lives to do what they have to save lives, then we can do our part. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy, stay thankful, and pray for all the frontline people. And I can say, also pray that the scientists and the researchers come up with a vaccine to stop this virus. So God bless you. And I'll see you in my next video. Let me see. Probably not till next time this week. Because my daughter has to work and uses my computer. Which is okay. This is what life is all about today. So God bless you. And I'll see you when I'm on next.